Okay, now that I've finally seen Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning, let's have a look at my personal ranking of the Mission Impossible films from my least favourite to my absolute favourite. Now, just to clarify, I absolutely love this franchise and I love watching each individual movie, but there's always going to be that one that is going to be my least favourite and that one that is going to be my absolute favourite. At number 8, we've got Mission Impossible 2. Now, while this one is set in Australia and has some unique action sequences, I do feel like it is the weakest in the franchise, as it does feel a bit over the top and feels a bit different compared to the other films in the franchise. And fun fact, this movie was also filmed down the road from my house in my hometown of Sydney, Australia. At number 7, Mission Impossible 1. Now, while this movie is iconic and has some memorable moments from the Mission Impossible franchise, this movie is a fantastic introduction to the franchise, but it does feel a bit dated, especially after a rewatch, but nevertheless, it's still a solid film. At number 6, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Now, this is a solid entry in the Mission Impossible franchise, but for some reason, after the plane sequence, I keep forgetting about the plot and also the story in this movie. Like, I just don't know why, because this is actually a really good Mission Impossible film, but I just keep forgetting about this movie every time I revisit the Mission Impossible films. At number 5, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning. Now, while I feel like this movie isn't as good as the previous one, Dead Reckoning, I still feel like the stunts were better in this particular film. However, the couple of complaints is it does feel like it drags on a bit at the beginning, and also it is over 2.5 hours long, but nevertheless, I was still engaged watching this at the cinemas. And speaking of the previous film, at number 4, we got Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. Now, while I do find that the villain is very weak in this movie and in the next one, The Final Reckoning, what I love about this one is the build-up to The Final Reckoning, and also I love the addition of new cast members, mixing in with previous cast members from previous Mission Impossible films. Alright, number 3, we got Mission Impossible 3. Now, I love the character turnaround of Ethan Hunt being a bit more tactical in this movie. I was very invested into the plot of this movie, but what I really love about this movie being in my top 3 is the villain being played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, who is one of the best villains in the Mission Impossible franchise. At number 2, we got Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Now, this movie was obviously released after the whole jumping on the couch Tom Cruise era, but this movie was such a great reset for the Mission Impossible franchise, as not only this was set in a brand new era for the Mission Impossible films, but I just love the reoccurring characters and also introduced us to much more bigger and grander stunts like the Burj Khalifa scene. And lastly, and you knew it was coming, at number 1 is Mission Impossible Fallout. I mean, where to begin with this one? This is such an amazing action experience to witness on screen. Not only you had the returning cast members from previous films, you also had a recurring villain from the previous film. You also got some great twists with some new characters added in, and also the stunts in this I feel like are just the absolute best out of all the Mission Impossible films. But anyway, that's my personal ranking on all the Mission Impossible films, so let me know your thoughts and which movie is your favorite in the franchise. Let me know in the comments.